Hello everyone, I hope that you are all having a wonderful day. My name is Miss Pryor and I am back today with another Lordswood School Book Nook video. Now, I am genuinely someone who is never without a book. I carry one absolutely everywhere in my bag with me, whether I am visiting someone or I am going to work. I've got a book with me. If I go book shopping, I've got a book with me in my bag. And that gives me the issue of books going in and out of my bag all the time and potentially then getting damaged. I'm also someone that really likes to take care of my books. I like to keep them looking as new as possible. You know, they cost me money, so I like to take care of them. I also like the idea of having them again so that I can reread them, or giving them to somebody else so that they can have a read. And when they're damaged, you know, pages are torn or corners are damaged, it makes it a little bit more difficult, and frankly, they don't look as nice on my shelves. Now, in order to combat this problem, I decided that I was going to buy myself one of these. I've talked about this quite a lot in my class, and I know that my class are having a great time ordering some for themselves or making some for themselves. And this is a book sleeve. Now, the idea behind it is that your book goes inside. I do have a book in here at the moment. I have a book that Emily in my class has lent to me, which I will finish for her this weekend and have it back to her. So the book simply slides into the book sleeve, and then that can then go into my bag, and I don't have to worry about my books getting ruined by anything that is in my bag already. So much like my bookmark video, I have sought the talents of people that are far more gifted than me when it comes to making things. This week I have commandeered Mrs. Wood. Mrs. Wood works in year 1 for those who don't know her, and she is an avid sewer. She has a sewing machine at home and does lots of little projects, and she agreed to film a short video showing you how to make one of these book sleeves to keep your books safe in your bag. So I'm going to hand over to her and she's going to show you exactly how to make one of these.
Guys, Mrs. Wood here. Now I want to show you something today. Some of you may know I absolutely love sewing and anything to do with fabric, and Miss Pryor in year 6, as I'm sure you all know, absolutely loves books. So today we're going to combine her favourite thing with my favourite thing, and I'm going to show you how to make a book sleeve to put your book in. Now I've made this one out of denim with some nice blue and red fabric. You can make it out whatever you want. This is out of my daughter's old skirt, but just check with your adult before you go and chop anything up. So I'm going to move that to one side and show you what to do. Now you can make it whatever size you've got a special book for. Measure your book, just make sure you add a few extra inches on for your seams and for the depth of the book. But this is a standard shop bought size, so I've made it 10.5 inches that way and 8.5 inches that way to allow for my seams. Now you need 2 pieces of fabric the same size that are going to be the outside of your book cover, and 2 pieces the same size which are going to be for the inside of your book cover. Now to start, we're going to put our outside 2 together and line them up. This is really easy. I'm using a sewing machine, but it does not matter if you do not have a sewing machine. It's straight lines. You can use a needle and cotton. So all I'm going to do first is sew around a long side, a short side and another long side, and leave this side open. Okay, now I'll be as quick as I can, and as I say, it really doesn't matter if you want to do it by hand. I'm using bright red thread so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to speed that up a little bit. I'm going to go straight down to the corner, making sure you're keeping it nice and straight. Now I'm just going to stop there and I'm going to go round the corner and sew along my short straight side. Again, straight across to the next corner. Nearly there. Okay, and I'm going to stop again there, and I'm going to go straight up, one more stitch, straight up my next long side. Okay, remember, if you're sewing by hand, you need a knot at the end of your cotton before you start, and when you finish, don't just cut it off because it will unravel. You need to go over your last stitch 3 or 4 times to make sure that it stays where you want it to be. Okay, so that's all I'm doing on the sewing machine. I'm getting to the end, then I go back a couple of stitches and it just locks it in place for me, like you'll do with your cotton. And take that out and snip my thread off. That is the most of the work done on the front piece already, so I'm going to put that to one side. The same with the inside lining. We're going to put the 2 nice pattern sides, what we call the right sides, together. Now the difference on the inside is we don't sew all the way around the 3 sides. We still do the long sides, but on the short side I'm going to make a pin mark because it's very easy to sew all the way round, as I often do, forgetting that I need to leave a gap. So I'm going to sew down this long side, and the gap will become obvious in a minute as to why we've got that. And if you haven't got that, there's way around it, but it can cause a bit of an issue. So we're going to go straight down our long sides again. So you can see exactly what I'm doing because of the nice bright red thread. Speed that up a little bit. And again, I'm going to stop at the corner and turn. Now this time I'm looking at my pen line and I'm only going as far as my pen line. Then I'm going to do my special stitches to make sure it doesn't come undone, which is especially important on this bit because you're going to put a bit of pressure on that seam in a minute. Snip my thread. Then I'm going to go back to the next line, so I've left that gap open, secure my stitches in place up to my next corner. And stop. And now I'm just going to go straight down that last long line. And believe it or not, we are almost finished already. They are very simple to make, but they will make beautiful presents for somebody who likes to read, as a Christmas present or as a birthday present, or just a because you can present. They look after your book beautifully in your bag. So I'm going to cast that stitch off so it doesn't come undone. And snip my thread again. And now I will show you why we've left that hole at the bottom. Okay, this is where it gets quite clever. You take the fabric that you've already sewn, the one you've done 3 solid lines on, which is your outside fabric, and you're going to turn that in the other way so that we can see your nice fabric. If you get your fingers and thumbs inside your corners, you can push them out nicely. Make sure it's all out with your corners out. You can always use a pen lid or something gentle, but just be careful you don't poke through your fabric. Now I'm going to spread my hand out inside there, so I've got my little finger on one side and my thumb on the other. You get somebody with bigger hands to help if you can't manage. And then you're going to open up your lining fabric, and that is going to go inside the lining fabric. I know that looks odd, but the reason we've got that hole becomes apparent. Make sure your corners are all together, okay? And then look at the side and find the side seams that you've stitched together and line them up, okay? Now you don't need to pin, I'm just pinning so that I don't lose it while I'm showing you the other side. So turn round and again, find your side seam in your lining and the side seam in your outside. And I'm going to put another pin in there, okay? And then I'm just going to wiggle and make sure that it's all inside and it looks nice and straight across there. What we do now is we're going to stitch around there to put those 2 layers together, and then you will see why we need that hole. So again, I'm just going to do my stitches to stop it coming undone, and I'm going to go straight around there. If you are using a sewing machine and you are pinning, make sure you take that pin out because it's very easy to hit it with your needle, which could blunt your needle or even snap it, which can be quite dangerous. So all the way around that top piece, nearly there, don't worry if that happens, it just lines up. Take that next pin out and I'm going right round to where I started. Okay, and I'm doing my special stitches again to make sure it doesn't come undone. to take that off. Now I've got a few loose threads. It's going to be inside, so don't panic too much. But I'm going to trim a few of my loose threads off just so that they're out of the way. Now you can see why we've got that hole on the bottom, because this is very clever. What you're going to do now is very carefully put your fingers in that hole and get hold of the fabric in there, and you're going to very carefully just pull that through the hole, okay? And keep gently pulling until it's all out. So think about what size hole you need. It doesn't matter if you leave a bigger hole, it's just a bit more to sew up at the end, but that's not a problem. And then you're going to gently pull it all through like that. And then you're going to straighten this bit up as well so that you can turn it all in the way it should be. So again, push your corners out with your fingers. It just can be a little bit fiddly if you leave your hole a bit too small. So just be careful when you're turning it in that you don't split your seams. Okay, now I'm going to put my finger in there just to make sure, because that corner's not quite coming out and I want it to come out as a corner. Now, and that's it. Now you're left obviously with a little hole. It's up to you what you do with that hole, because obviously it's going to be inside, no one's going to see it. You could just sew straight across, or I'm going to show you with the needle and thread a way of doing it that you won't see so much of the stitching, okay? So I've got my cotton with my needle on the end of my knot, and I'm going to just go inside there and lift up that in there. I'm going underneath my seam and I'm going to come out on the top there, okay? And turn that round because I'm right-handed, so whichever way is comfortable for you. And I'm going to now take a little piece of fabric from that side, and then I'm going to take a little piece of fabric from this side and a little piece from that side, and I'm just going to pull, and it just helps to hide those stitches a little bit. But as I say, it's up to you. You can go straight across. Now I'm going to do this really quickly so you will see my threads at the end. But it's one of those things, if you take your time, you'll see less of your threads, okay? So I'm just doing a really quick go through so that you can see what I'm doing. So a bit from both sides and give it a pull, okay? There we go. I'm going to leave that there. So don't cut it off, because you will end up with your stitches coming undone. So remember, you do need to go over the top of your stitches a couple of times before you cut it, just to make sure that it doesn't come undone. As I say, you can see my stitches because I've done a really quick job there, but if you do that really slowly, little bit from each side. So I'm going to go over that last stitch a couple of times just to make sure that it doesn't come undone, and I'm going to chop my thread off. Now, what you do now is obviously you're left with that, which does not look like a book sleeve. So you're going to get your seam and you need to tuck your inside fabric back inside. We're nearly there. We've got one more line to do and we are finished. So you're tucking that in, making sure it's in your corners. It's like putting your pillow inside your pillowcase if you help do that. Straighten it up. And now where you've got your seam there, just make sure that the inside fabric is all on the inside and you've got a nice straight edge across the top. And then either on your machine or by hand, it's absolutely fine, whichever way you're doing it. We're just going to sew straight across the top there. And it just helps the lining to stay inside the bag a little bit, and it just makes it look a little bit neater, okay? So again, I'm going to put it under my machine. And we are going to do our locking stitch so it doesn't come undone. So remember your knot, and then we're going to go all the way round the top. Straight round. Nearly there. Keep going until you reach the bit you started on. And we're nearly there. This is the last bit, and then when we've cut this string off, your bag is finished. So my locking stitch, I'll take it off. Now I'm going to just trim those strings, because obviously this is the outside of my bag, so I don't want to leave any loose strings, because it doesn't look as nice if you can see your loose strings. Trim those off. And there is a finished book bag with your pattern inside or lining or whatever you choose to use, your fabric on the outside, and you can stick your book in. Hope that was useful, guys. Happy reading. Bye.
Well, what a fantastic tutorial, and thank you so much to Mrs. Wood for making that for us. I'm definitely gonna see if I can get my hands on some material and have a go myself, even though I already have a book sleeve. You can never have too many of these things. And I look forward to seeing if any of you have a go at making your own at home too. So that is all we have for this video today. I hope that you have really enjoyed it. Definitely give us a like down below or comment your thoughts down below as well. I will see you in the next video, and until that time, happy reading. Bye.